Hello, I'm Sam Meredith and welcome to the weekly wrap-up, where joining me to discuss the market movers from this week is Dean Maki, the Chief Economist with Point72 Asset Management. Firstly, Dean, we've seen from today's data release that the US employers added jobs at a much lower pace than expected in September, as non-farm payrolls increased to 142,000. Moreover, the August revision perhaps equally significant in being adjusted down to 136,000. With this week report, would you agree that this has vindicated the Federal Reserve's decision to delay a rate rise last month?
I do think the Fed will in retrospect, be happy that it did not raise rates in September, because right now they would be being questioned about why did you raise rates when the economy is slowing, et cetera. So I do think the broad-based softness in this report does give the Fed reason to be pleased that they did not start the rate rise process last month.
The unemployment rate held steady at 5.1%, though many economists estimate that the US economy only needs to add around 100,000 jobs a month to keep up with population growth. How is this likely to affect the inflation rate?
So I would agree that the pace of job growth that's needed to keep the unemployment rate steady is much lower than it used to be. My estimate would be about 75 to 100,000 per month. So what that means is even the 142,000 that we saw in September, if that were to continue, then the unemployment rate would gradually fall over time, although at a less rapid pace than we've seen in recent years. So as the labor market, if we take that scenario, if the labor market were to keep tightening in that way, over time, wage growth and core inflation would rise. The timing and pace of that are always in question, but that would be the force that would be at work. So it's important to underline this report is not a disaster in that front. It does not signal a turn into recession. It just means what we know for now is it's a couple months of softer job growth. What we don't know is whether job growth is going to pick up to the pace it was before. But even if it stays here, the labor market would keep tightening and inflation would eventually rise over time.
And finally for today, with a surprisingly weak non-farm payrolls data out, does this effectively end the debate as to whether a rate rise will occur in 2015? And when are you expecting this to inevitably happen?
I don't think this ends the debate about whether the Fed will raise rates this year. It does end the debate for October. So I think we can say with almost certainty that the Fed will not raise rates in October. I think it's an uphill battle for the Fed to raise rates in December. What we'd need to see is in the two additional reports we'll get by that meeting, we'd need to see a return to real strength. So if those two reports are both well above 200,000 per month, and it looks like this was just a bit of a soft patch in the data, then I think they would consider raising rates in that scenario. But those stronger reports have to start happening next month. And it's not even absolutely clear in that case whether they would move or not. But I don't think the probability is zero that they move this year. I think it's less than 50%, but it's not zero either.
Thank you, Dean. Be sure to check back on Monday for the week ahead with Monica Gibson. Have a good weekend and see you next time.